Okay, class. Today we're going to work on Wordly Wise 11. You will have a quiz at the end of the week that covers Wordly Wise 11, so being prepared and aware of that is important. And your homework tonight is Wordly Wise 11A and B, as well as the video, and there are a couple questions throughout the video as well. Okay, so to go ahead and get started, attenuate. Noticing here that there is not an extra T in here, so it's attenuates. Sometimes people mispronounce this one. This is a verb, to make or become thin, okay, or to lessen the amount, force, or value of. So becoming thin and lessening the amount is pretty much the same thing, because if something becomes thin, as in it starts out nice and wide and moves in and in and in, it's becoming weaker. So you're also lessening the amount of. Attenuate is also like with the force of something. So when you go to hit something, as you become tired and you become weaker, the force that you're able to hit something with also becomes weaker. So that fits in as well with there. Behemoth is a noun. Something or someone of enormous size or power. So this, we're not talking like a horse is a behemoth. We're talking things that are huge, like elephants, like mammoths, like buildings. So we're talking that enormity. Okay, so it's someone could be an enormous, a behemoth person, and if you actually look at the description here of a 300-pound behemoth, so it fits that aspect there. So football players could be considered behemoth. Bodybuilders, weightlifters, wrestlers, those could be behemoth in size, but usually you're going to go even larger than that. Okay, disinter is a verb, to remove from a grave or tomb or to dig up. So this idea, like back in Romeo and Juliet's time, they had grave robbers. So they would actually dig up the bodies or go take the bodies out of the mausoleums, and they would disinter them, or they would dig them up. They would remove them from that aspect. Okay. The next one we have is impinge. It's used with the word on, so impinge on, so it's actually got the beginning of a prepositional phrase built into it. This is a verb, to go beyond desirable or established limits or to encroach. So if you're impinging on something, you're taking over something. So like if you're talking in class and you're being disrespectful, you're impinging on the rights of other students, or you're impinging on your teacher, those types of things, or to come into contact with, especially forcefully. So if you're impinging on something, so think of it as a blinding flash impinged on my field of vision. So it was coming forcefully, it was taking over your sight, and definitely becoming forceful in nature as there. Multifarious is an adjective, having many forms, varied and versatile. So this is definitely the idea of multicolored, multi-shaped. So multifarious has that versatility to it. So you're getting a variety of aspects. So in our school, we don't very much have a student body that's multifarious, but if you go to a public school, you're definitely going to have a multifarious student body. But here, not so much. Okay, oxymoron. I think you guys all know what an oxymoron is, so this one should be really simple for you. A combination of words that seem to be contradictory. I like the example here. They have make haste slowly. Haste is speed, and slow obviously is slow. So they definitely fit into the opposites. Plentitude is a noun, an ample amount or an abundance. So if you look here at the root, it's plenit, which is also the idea of like plenty. So it's satisfactory. It's you have exactly what you need. Okay. So you have plenty of it. You have an abundance. You have an ample. You have the perfect amount. Okay. Postulate comes in two different aspects here. We have the verb form and the noun form. Verb form is to assume as a fact based on the best available evidence. So you're making an assumption because you have the opportunity to. So if you've ever taken geometry, you know, if postulates in geometry, you're making assumptions based on the evidence. We do the same thing when we find things, like as archaeologists, or when we're doing math or something like that. We are postulating, we are making assumptions. In science, we do the same thing. Postulate in the noun form is something assumed to be self-evident or a fundamental principle. So it's what we stand for. It's who we are. It's our freedoms, our diplomacy, our democracy. Those are postulates. Okay, prevail is a verb, to prove superior in power or strength. So you're prevailing, you're winning. Okay, so kind of like the Broncos yesterday in the Super Bowl, they prevailed, they won. Okay, or to remain in effect or use, or to be current or widespread. So like the prevailing ideas or the prevailing winds right now, the winds are widespread across, and that's what's causing our heat wave in February. But fashion trends, like the prevailing fashion trend, it's a certain style of shoe or a haircut or different things like that as well. Putrefy is a verb, to become rotten or decayed, giving off a foul odor. So rotten or decayed is gross, it's disgusting, it's probably moldy, it's smelly, and very, very, very foul odor. So it's very rotten in that aspect. But this is what attracts other animals, what attracts scavengers, and here definitely fits. Salubrious is an adjective, beneficial to health or well-being. So this is a positive aspect. So if something is salubrious, it's good for you. Going for a walk outside in the fresh air, going up hiking or doing some exercise. They're salubrious for you. They're good for your well-being. Meditation fits in here as well. But it's that idea that it helps you and it benefits you in your health aspects. Okay, succulent is an adjective. It's fresh and it's juicy. So that idea of that succulent fruit, taking that bite, and it's kind of, you feel the juice and it's juicy in your mouth, and sometimes it drips on your chin or dribbles in there, but it definitely has that aspect of being fresh and juicy. So it's a succulent piece of fruit. Tundra is a noun. It's flat, treeless plains of the Arctic regions. So we're not talking here in America. We're talking more up north of us in Canada. So as you get higher up into Canada, we have those flat, treeless plains that have a lot of moss, a lot of flowering plants, but this is where like the moose live, where some polar bears live, but it's definitely flat and treeless. Okay, unequivocal is an adjective. It means leaving no room for misunderstanding or unambiguous. So looking at the example here, when I asked to borrow their new car, my parents replied with an unequivocal no, as in I knew that the answer was no. I knew I couldn't argue it, I couldn't fight it. There was no way to misunderstand in there that my parents were saying no. So it's the idea is that there is no wiggle room in there, that you know which way you have to go in that. Okay, last one. Vicissitudes. This is a noun, and it's always in plural form. It fluctuations in conditions, changes of fortune. So Gatsby definitely fits into this. His fortune changes, and his fortune fluctuates. And this doesn't just have to be monetary either. This can be the idea of, you're lucky one day and you're unlucky the next. So that is that fluctuation in a condition or change of fortune aspect in there. Okay. I'm remembering tonight your homework is Wordly Wise 11, A and B, if you want to do C and D in advance, because tomorrow night's homework is C and D. You're also going to be working on some blog comment or forum comments as well, so keeping that in mind. And your Gatsby project is due 2 weeks from today. Okay, have a good night, and I will see you in class tomorrow.